It is the improvisation of fate. Chaos. The art of breaking free from the confines of reality. When the raven cries, millions of wings will tear the night apart.
Claire, time to escort the Raven.
The time has come. Do you read poetry, my friend? For it tells us not what has happened, but what is going to happen.
Your mission is to rescue an inmate with intel on Skynet, so why start a riot?
Don't look at me, mate. I was working on the toilet.
Just go on. Track him down and contact Zoya.
A divine messenger has guided me to your rescue. You are free.
No. Firstly, it wasn't a divine messenger. Just a little birdie. Secondly, I've always been free. You're the ones trapped in order.
Inmates have taken the control room and activated tidal defense system.
It's all part of this madman's plan!
That guy doesn't look like he's asking for help.
Zoya was tricked by a birdie.
The guests have arrived. Now let the chaos thicken! Then, Mythor. The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen sensor, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
GTI. Watch out! There's hallucinogens in the smoke!
Luna!
Luna?
Wretch, I cry. These forces lent thee by these spirits it hath sent thee.
No!
Quoth the raven, nevermore. Don't. They'll feel the blade of betrayal pierce their hearts just as I have.
Tidal lock defense protocol fully engaged. Area is on the brink of complete
I don't know what's
submersion.
going on between you two, but we gotta pull out. Now!
Order, the formula of fate. With chaos, fate writing poetry.
Greetings, operators. Get ready for the Delta Force break season. We're talking fresh maps, new operators, and game modes that'll totally change how you play. First up, let's dive into the new maps. This season, we're dropping you onto a tropical island with stunning blue waters, clear skies, and perfect weather. Don't let the scenery fool you, though. Havk has already taken over the Intercontinental Missile Launch Base here. You'll need to use the vast surrounding waters to your advantage, launching amphibious assaults from land, sea, and air. And hey, diving underwater isn't just for dodging bullets. It's perfect for flanking enemies and pulling off surprise attacks. Just a heads up, Havk might deploy weather weapons. This means the area could turn into a cyclone at any moment. So make sure all operators are prepped for combat in extreme weather conditions. On top of that, Victory Unite mode in the new season will feature a dedicated management panel for commanders. This panel consolidates all commander abilities, replacing the old, larger map interface, making it much easier to issue orders. Plus, there's a new commander ability called Call and Attack, Urgent Deployment. This bad boy can drastically cut down friendly respawn times for a short period, helping your squad quickly rebuild offensive or defensive lines. To keep operators agile during amphibious operations, the new season lets you pilot jet skis. Use them to zip around the battlefield and reposition quickly. After this season's update, engineers will find a new class gadget, the wire-guided missile launcher. Now infantry can use it to remotely control and hit targets. In operations mode this season, we're dropping a brand new map, Tide Prison, available only on PC. Your goal, break out as fast as possible, explore every nook and cranny of the prison, and make a successful extraction. That's the ultimate objective. When you first land in the prison, you'll be rocking a prison uniform and limited to throwing punches. But don't sweat it. Follow the guidance and you'll quickly recover your gear, complete the jailbreak, and start scavenging for supplies. Beyond the way we showed you, there are a bunch of other jailbreak methods just waiting for you to find. While exploring underwater in Tide Prison, you might stumble upon a new container, the DF Clam. If luck's on your side, you could even get the prison's exclusive, super valuable red item, Tears of Ocean. In the maximum security block, operators might randomly receive a flagship task called Operation Floodline. Respond to these emergencies and complete the operation within the time limit to grab the valuable data that's in the hanging cell. This prison isn't just for new operators, it's also home to a lot of locals, including Raven, the beloved son of the former Asara king. He wields a .357 Zephyr revolver pistol, and when he unleashes a flurry of shots, he'll knock down any operator in his line of sight. Seriously, don't go near his smoke grenades. Touching the smoke will immediately give you hallucinogenic effects that mess with your vision. And whatever you do, avoid melee combat with him, or you will be executed. Also, don't ignore his guards. These Asara death row inmates pack a punch with both ranged and powerful melee weapons. Trying to save ammo against them is a bad idea. If you see other prisoners bursting out of their cells or even duking out with guards, it means a prison riot is going down, and Raven is roaming around somewhere. He's also left some gifts hidden in the prison. Open them up for a surprise. And speaking of jailbreak, how could we forget those iconic scenes everyone loves? If you can, pick your favorite way to extract from Tide Prison. The new season is packed with even more fresh content going live. Ready for a wave of upcoming summer events? From July 9th to August 7th, a brand new event pass kicks off. Play matches across both modes to rack up playtime and claim the SB-98 Forest Hunter appearance, plus 20 armament voucher draws. Starting in the second week after the event opens, accelerated quests will also be open to help operators complete them faster. At the same time, special secret protocol crates will appear in the Zero Dam map in operations, with a new secret protocol crate added in a new location each week. On normal difficulty, an additional secret protocol crate will be added. Find them and successfully extract to obtain weapon appearances. In operations and warfare matches, find and extract with the secret protocol crate added in the final week to not only unlock early access to the new KC-17 assault rifle, but also the KC-17 Line of Glory weapon appearance. The KC-17 assault rifle will officially go live in the mid-season update. There's also a new Cold Warrior compound bow that will go live simultaneously at the start of the new season, and I'm sure you can't wait to use it to capture prey on the battlefield. In this season, an assault operator from Hoft is about to join the fight, Claire Ann Byers, codenamed Tempest. After an accidental injury, she went through Hoft's medical experience and had an auxiliary surge spine surgically installed. This allows her to use electrical currents to boost her core muscles, fully unleashing her athletic abilities for rapid rolling and finding opportunities to kill enemies in the crossfire. Tempest's throwable drill charge unleashes powerful electrical currents that will knock weapons from enemies' hands and briefly paralyze them. The emergency evasion device on her waist, when activated, shoots out a safety rope that launches onto an anchor point. If Tempest hits the device again or takes fatal damage, she'll be yanked back to that anchor spot. In operations, she can even self-revive once if she's down. Overall, Tempest is going to be an excellent pioneer for any team, helping gather enemy information and cutting down on casualty risks. We're confident she'll do great when she joins GTI. As demonstrated earlier, the new season adds a swimming system. Sprint swimming is faster, but consumes stamina and accelerates oxygen consumption, requiring timely servicing. Note that when operators are at the water surface, weapons can fire normally and items can be used normally. Underwater, there are restrictions. Ammo experiences very rapid damage fall-off after entering water, so if you're shot while underwater, it's best to dive deeper. In the new season, operators can find the collection room in the Black Site, where you can store and showcase the major red collections you've obtained. Upgrade the collection room to unlock more display wall effects. The new season is also bringing a ton of fresh appearances. The new season's Mandelbrick features 2 gold weapon appearances: the AUG Assault Rifle Meteorology
The conduction coil is on our systems. Sync module.
and the CI-19 Meteorology.
This is not a toy, soldier.
These come with 4 unique weather-changing inspection effects on the weapon itself, evolving kill effects, plus tracer rounds and voice broadcast.
Correct it.
Additionally, the store will launch the Desmoulins Edge Bundle. This pack includes the gold melee weapon Switchblade, Desmoulins Edge, along with various weapon appearances, charms, avatars, calling cards, and other ways to personalize your gear. Weapon charms are getting a brand new Asara theme, Asara Guard soldier figures. Collect the complete set, and the charms will actually glow on their own. When your weapons fire, you'll even see cool burn effects. Make sure to grab them in the new season. Meanwhile, the Delta Force and Arknights collab is just about to launch. If you're an Arknights fan, you definitely don't want to miss it. That's all of the exciting content coming in the Break New Season Update. Break free from your cage and escape to freedom on July 9th.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, especially if you're across the pond, and welcome into the Delta Force Global League Season 2. It's European Warfare Finals, and I am so excited to be back as your hosting caster today. My name is Goj, and I've done a ton of these Delta Force broadcasts, but Delta Force Global League, come on. It's esports. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be super sweaty, and I think it's going to go pretty quick today as well, so lock in and get ready for some chaos. Let me bring in my amazing co-host, Spider Tiff, back with me yet again here in the booth. Tiff, great to have you back. As per the usual, Delta Force has become our home for a little while now, and we've got more warfare chaos. Are you excited about the Delta Force Global League?
Honestly, yes, because you said chaos twice, and that's like my middle name at this point in time, especially when you're looking towards warfare. I can only imagine what could happen because we had so much fun when it came to Season 1, and with some returning winners from that era, you know today's going to be a good day.
Yeah, there are some returning players, some players we've seen a lot from on main stage here in Warfare. Chaos is the name of the game when it comes to Warfare, but I think these teams are going to be a little bit more strategic than just pure utter chaos like we see in pubs. So let's talk about the format. Let's see what we're going to talk about what we're going to see today, rather, because this format is really extensive, and I want to break it down for you. First and foremost, the easy part first, it's Team Alpha versus Team Bravo. We had all of our squads competing through an open qualifier system. They get pulled into today, randomly seeded to create 2 separate teams. It's going to be 5 teams of 4-player squads, aka 20v20. Now, we are playing Victory Unite, so they're going to elect a commander. The commander is going to be leading the charge in terms of some comms, some strategies, and being able to call in some extra special support systems. But today, like I said at the top of the show, it's going to go pretty quick. We're playing a single best of 3. It's the first to win 2 maps, aka a best of 3. Now, the first 2 games are very simple to understand. We've got a map pool of 5 total maps we could play for the first 2 maps. We will play the same map back-to-back, swapping sides, attack and defense in Game 1 and Game 2. If they trade wins, let's just say Team Alpha wins the first round and then Team Bravo wins the second round, Game 3 is where it gets mixy. There's a lot of information here, but the simple version of this is pretty standard. It's just whoever did better in their tiebreakers, whoever did better on either the defense side if both defenses won or the attacking side if both attacks won, they get a priority selection. They can either choose the map for Game 3 or they can choose attack or defense. You can either choose what position you want or the map, and the other team gets to select the other option. So it'll be really fun if we do get to Game 3. I'm really hoping that we do. We'll get a chance to see the selection process from our captains and see what they're able to do with those selections. That's where a lot of strategy, I think, will come into play. But our teams have been talking a ton of strategy behind the scenes because there is a lot on the line. Let's talk about prizing. We got a lot of money up for grabs today. $10,000 to the winning team, but that's not all. $500 to the top individual Slayer, regardless of what team you're on, and the top medic, regardless of what team you're on. So $10,000, that's to the entire winning side. That's 20 players split up evenly. That's $500 a piece if you can grab 2 map wins today. Pretty standard, pretty amazing. And if you've got questions, we'll be watching all the chats and hopefully be able to answer those for you. Let's talk teams, though. And Tiff, I'd love you to take over because we've randomly seeded these teams, these squads rather, into teams Alpha and Bravo. And I think a lot of people at home are going to recognize some names if they've been watching some Warfare Delta Force broadcasts.
Yeah, we've been really blessed to see a lot of these players throughout our shows here on Delta Force. But you think back to season 1 of the Delta Force Global League for Europe Warfare, it was Team Bravo that actually took the win at that time. And Polska Guram, they were on that roster. You'll see the boys, then dubbed the boys. They changed up a little bit, right? Just the name, just 2 letters, right? They were on that winning team and they've done a lot of really good work, like John DeBomb, Yellow Love. The cool thing here is when you're looking at that roster, it's going to be Squad 2 on Team Bravo. You have Heisen. That is going to be a new player here on this team. He did play on SPKTR Spectre on the last Warfare finals, and honestly, top performing team from the losing team. So if you're going to kind of bring that roster together, Team Bravo's already looking pretty stellar. We talked a bit about the Funhouse a couple days ago, and you know, they are looking really strong coming into this. So once you have like some 2 dynamite teams on a roster, I do like Full Safe. They're formerly known as Full Safe, but you do have a new addition. And I apologize if I do say this incorrectly. Cupich?
Yeah, Cupich, sure. I like it.
Look, if I miss something, you guys tell me in chat. I see you guys. Well, supporters in chat, be the real ones and correct me.
Well, I love, again, we're about to get into the game already. I think all of our players are ready, but it's worth mentioning too, like, this is my favorite part about the Delta Force Global League is we get a chance to highlight some of these amazing players and what they're able to accomplish on the map. And so, yeah, we might mispronounce your name once or twice. I've already asked a lot of people how to say their name, but that's the point of this, right? It's to learn you and your game and what you're able to do on main stage in a big esports competition. But you're right. I think both sides will have a good opportunity to win. Absolutely. I'm looking at Team Bravo as well. Some of those top names. I do believe, by the way, it's Heisen that is going to be leading the charge as the commander for that entire side. They've got a lot of trust in Heisen to lead the charge. Apparently a decent amount of experience in the Victory Unite mode, and that commander being in charge is pretty dang important. On the other side, I believe it's going to be Quopoti on the Team Alpha. All I know is Quopoti has been spamming a ton of strategies in their overall, event Discord. So Really fun to watch what they've been able to do to strategize for this event. There's a lot of fun strategies we'll see and talk about throughout the course of this. I have a couple more quick reminders as we're about to jump into the very first map, by the way. We have Twitch drops active all over the place. Some of our players, of course, are, they're streaming all over the place. Some of their streams are live, but we're live here on Twitch. We've got Twitch drops active. Make sure you watch for about 2 hours or so, and you'll be able to earn all of those. Those are live all the way through, I believe, the beginning of August up until new season and new updates. So fun stuff for you guys at home. Now, as we're about to get into this game, I am getting word, by the way, we have rolled our map for the day. So we're going to be starting map 1 and 2 will be on Trainwreck. So Tiff, this is exciting. Trainwreck's a fun map. I will say something that some of these teams had to prepare for was an option of all of these different maps. But when they were told it's Trainwreck, we told them just a little bit ago when we rolled this randomly, and I saw quickly everybody going, okay, vehicles, incredibly important. This is going to be a big vehicle map, and I think we're going to see a lot of vehicle warfare.
See, I'm okay with that, especially on Warfare, but my thing is, what are the adaptations going to look like? Who's going to be locking in those engineers? Because anytime you think of vehicles, you think of John DeBomb. And remember what we've seen on him when it comes to main Delta Force broadcasts. It's, where are my engineers? Who's going to pocket keep my vehicle alive so that we can keep barricading forward? Now, that's where I want to see as we drop into the first game go.
Well, the first game of the day, it is time for the Delta Force Global League European Warfare Finals. Season 2 is here, and it's time to get active. And yes, of course, you do start with the tank, so we're going to get active here quickly. Now, a couple things. As a reminder, we are in our in-game spectator. This is our esports spectator. We've got an amazing map fly through. We've got, look at this overview free cam. It's awesome. But as we go through, feel free to ask questions as needed. Red is going to be your attackers all day today. Defense is going to be in green. So pay attention to those colors as needed as we swap POVs and take a look at some of these fights.
Oh, yeah, immediately just popping up some of these angles. That's what I was most worried about when it came to Trainwreck, are these open spaces. But when you get granular into here, how can you keep an eye on every single angle? But mind you, we're keeping an eye out for our top slayers and our top medics. So prioritizing those reses is going to go a long way, especially with being in Victory Unite mode, less tickets.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Obviously, some nuance to Victory Unite. That's something that you'll have to continue to pay attention to, is you're going to only have 200 tickets to start things off, 200 lives to work with on the attack. I saw players talking about it in Discord, super prioritizing, making sure to keep each other up as much as possible on the attacking side. Defense, absolutely the same as well. But it was funny, looking so far so good for the defense. I was looking at the Discord, and one of the things that the defense said was, hey, the first point, very difficult to hold. Don't worry about it too much. We really want to set up for the points coming a little bit after. But so far so good for the first, 15 tickets, 25 tickets or so.
Look, if you're going to have Polska Guram on Team Alpha, that was your heavy-hitting team. That was the mainstay when it came to Season 1 on Team Bravo. They attributed for the most amount of kills on the map and almost broke 1,000. Look, they're like 250 away. It was really impressive. Of course, you do have, I believe, let's see, it is Volkswagen who's potentially new for the finals alongside Polska Guram, so keep tabs on them.
Yeah, and we're going to take a quick look, swinging around the corner. Yellow love on your screen right now. Usually our team, the boys as it were, we've got somebody in a vehicle and everybody else is running engineers to make sure they stay alive. You can see on the attacking side, I believe that's Westa in the tank, barely able to stay up, and they're getting pressured, quickly taken down. A great effort there from Relax to make sure that tank gets cut down. That's a big pain, a big thorn in the side of the attack. To bring down the tank this early in the first 50 lives, impressive stuff from the defense. They are losing point A, but it's still a massive victory to get that tank out of here.
Well, look, you got 30 seconds left on that urgent backup deployment. Love this update that came in from Victory Unite. You get temporarily reduction on your allies to redeploy and get back in it. So we can be hyper aggressive. You can dive in and just keep putting that pressure onto them. As you can see, Slicks do just that. Back up to the free cam. You can see the setup here. And honestly, if you just look over to the top right, the red is getting annihilated, but one was just trying to hold on, not before being completely taken off guard.
Yeah, and this is what I was a little bit worried about. Again, green's going to be your defense, so to start things off with that tank down, yes, they had some people on the point, but without the pressure from the vehicle, all of a sudden, the defense has rallied back and almost completely taken back this point. So far, so good. Usually, when we talk about metrics of success in warfare here, Tiff, Talk about a 90 to 100 lives or so per point is about max you want to spend on the attack. Anything more than that is a big win for the defense, as you're not going to be going into the next point on max lives.
All right, well, John the board, John the bomb, Yellow Love, Slicks, and Heisen. Heisen, the commander you were outlining, and it's really good to kind of see them run it back, especially if they had prior won in season 1. You're going to come in with that ultimate confidence. They played in a ton of the show matches, so we get a lot of like information on how they work together, and their cohesion is crazy. The vibes are always high, but you can see 2 engineers, and you have that Luna 4 information. Love that. But when it comes to this close range combat, people have been testing different weapons, and I've been seeing a lot of the QBQ lately, and that has been really fun to see.
Yeah, this kill feed is lighting up green. Huge success so far for the defense. Finding another great angle over the top. You know, one of the things I saw the players talking about is like, we don't have to play extremely aggressive as the attack. We can slow it down a little bit, make sure we play together. We don't want to waste lives. And unfortunately, well, that strategy was working earlier. All of a sudden, without the extra firepower from their tank, things are looking a hair grim. We're going to see the Alluru guided missile coming out, try to help out teammates. Get some assists, but so far, a very clean hold from the defense right now. A is completely swarmed by the defense. They've held all angles, and this is the strategy you oftentimes see on the first couple points. If it works, you can hold them at the very first point. The key to it is not body stacking on the point. It's separating and picking up players on the attack on spawn, making sure they don't have a large group of numbers all working together, making one coordinated push. If you can keep them on their back foot, keep them separated, absolutely could hold here on the very first point, which would be a huge win for the defense.
All right, well, we're going up to the top, and we immediately pick 2, and Canyon kind of regrets that peak, but it looked good for just a moment. Reinforcements coming that way. Now, if we can filter our way past the cement truck, over top of the wood pile, we're just trying to take these head peeks and really work towards A if we can through these angles. But it's been incredibly difficult because you're right, the defense has been so powerful. Now that we're looking less than 75 tickets, how are we going to turn this around?
Yeah, it's going to be, we're going to turn it around by taking down Q-Pitch right here.
You're going to try.
Absolutely frying SMG, AR, pistol. Doesn't matter what he's got. Q-Pitch going crazy. Good call out top of show, Tiff. Great player, but a new tank is on the board, and Westa immediately gets into the mix, trying to open up the point. Decent move. Here's the problem. If you just go swarming to the point immediately, trying to open up for the team, you're going to lose that vehicle nearly immediately as well. This is not pubs, folks. This is coordinated esports effort, and because of that, these vehicles will not last long if you get too close to the point. The defense has set up near flawlessly thus far, and they've just got to do it for probably only a couple minutes more, and they're going to win on the very first point.
Oh, breaking out the signal decoder and just trying to get closer if we can. M14 in hand, and you saw some nice pepperings and a couple angles, but we haven't really been able to get the fulls in the data knife. Just trying to finish it off, but can't do it. But the pressure from behind, check out that dive to the flick around, is just not gonna work.
Yeah, defense is doing everything right here. They're finally, even if they do lose the point here, this is such a victory for the defense to be able to hold for this long. Finally exchanging hands. Only for the second time in this entire game do we see red on point A. And they've got a vehicle there again. Not a tank, but a vehicle nonetheless. And with that transport there, they lose it quickly. AT4s in hand. The defense making one final effort to hold and win the game on point A. And they might be doing it. Look at this defense push. They're picking up doubles and triples just about on every single player. All of a sudden, there's more green than red on the point. This is almost a stalemate, but I think the defense is winning this fight.
All I see is Heisen, John de Bomb going crazy, and Vabatrow falls, the last member of Toxic Team. We'll see them kind of get respawned shortly, which honestly, when you think back to Season 1, they were on that losing side of things, so they do not want to lose here in Season 2. It's a redemption run for them as we see that tank just on the inside. Here come the missiles looking to put that pressure on the vehicles. You mentioned vehicle warfare, but we're trying to deny that, especially when you have to thread through these wooden structures. It can be really difficult. It's more of just a kind of a nuisance at that point.
Yeah, honestly, I just think this is another mistake. I mean, we've got the tank. Now, at this point, when you've got a tank, sure, you've got 10 lives remaining, you got to get onto the point. The problem is we just wasted 2 full tanks before this by swarming the point when we could have played patient, made a coordinated push, and then be able to push onto this point. Right now, defense has entire control over the point. 1-2 lives remaining. That's going to be it for the very first game. Unbelievable hold from the defense. Absolutely phenomenal work being able to push down tanks. Listen, this is what it takes. When it comes down to strategy, it's really as simple as this, especially on Trainwreck. Vehicles are going to be everything. So if your opponents are misusing their vehicles or just getting a hair too aggressive and making it more of a coin flip, you better make sure that coin, it lands on the heads or the tails that you want to win this game. That's exactly what happened that game, Tiff. They coin flipped some of their tank spawns. They swarmed them onto the point to try to open things up, and it absolutely did not work because the defense was ready, and they had missiles ready left, right, and center. I think I saw 6 AT-4 strike that tank nearly immediately, and it was gone in an instant.
Yeah, see, that's gonna be the tough part when trying to use them, right? You immediately look on over to Du Bois, and what are they doing? 2 engineers locked in and ready to go. Of course, you do have that recon, so they've really already done their prep work coming into this to make sure that the moment a tank gets remotely close, it's done, it's dusted. But what a flawless hold here in game number 1. I wasn't expecting it to go that. I thought we would move past A, but unfortunately for the attacking side, it was quite difficult.
Yeah, and it's something we talk about often with Warfare, right? Defense seems to be a little bit easier most of the time. It's not always true. It totally depends on the map. It depends on a lot of the team comps. Let's take a quick look back on that replay and why that's true in this map. Because here's the thing, right? And I'm going to keep harping on this. It's not necessarily the player's fault. It's the way the defense has set up. Defense has spread out around the point, not on the point, not body stacking the point as needed. Out around, making sure we're picking up attackers on spawn, making sure they can't make an actual coordinated push. And because they weren't able to make an actual coordinated push, they weren't able to tick this timer down fast enough. They then had to rely on their vehicles to get onto the point. And because of that, the defense was ready for it, able to take down those vehicles very quickly. But it was also some heroic plays from some of our defensive players, picking up triples, doubles. There's only 20 players on the map, so if you're able to pick up 3 for 1, that's a huge trade for your team. And especially if you can make sure they don't get revived. I mean, overall, defense did everything right that time around.
Exactly. It's just gonna be hard to say who's gonna be at the top of the leaderboard in terms of the top Slayer and the top medic. Because, I mean, look, if it's only a single best of 3, your best bet is to get as many kills as you can, especially done and dusted for game number 1. And like you said, those big 2s and 3s, XNT was looking really solid there with the Bison and some of those replays, just kind of hopping around the corner and going 1, 2. It was super clean, and I've been really impressed for what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I am too. Again, I think teams maybe not scrambling as much as you would expect. I was looking at some of the comms as well, and basically the attack was like, look, it's okay. Defense is a bit easier. We feel like it's a bit easier on this map. We're going to win the next one, and we'll force it to game 3. I think the big strategy now is obviously winning the next one if you're somebody on the defense, but winning it very easily and very quickly to make sure you get the priority selection. We saw about how far that first team was able to push that timer. So they didn't get the first point, but if it does go to a tiebreaker and the defense wins on the exact same point, we'll have to take a look back and see how far they actually got on the swing on A. I think I saw around 70% or so is what they got to maximum, but a lot of math behind the scenes. We're going to get those scores calculated for you to show you game 1, because that will matter as well for some of our individual rewards. While we do that, we're going to take a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, it'll be game 2, potentially the final map of EU Warfare Finals. You're not going to want to miss it.
The Raven is obviously using us, but his intel checks out. Havoc has reactivated this old missile base in their bid to force the world into submission. These weapons threaten the very backbone of humanity. This won't stand. We'll storm the beaches, breach the bunkers, and extract the poison that they've planted in this territory. We will turn their missiles against them and drown them in a nightmare of their own creation.
The success of Havoc's Skynet weapons project relies on this ICBM base. It is the sword that extends our deterrence radius, the catalyst for our dream of building the new world. But the deranged Raven exposed it by releasing its coordinates to GTI. Since they want to make it the center of a new global storm, it shall be so.
And welcome back to the Delta Force Global League Season 2 EU Warfare Finals. The first game was quick, folks, and here's a look at the leaderboard from it. I've got to say, I'm still pretty impressed with some of the stat line numbers here. We had 24 revives from Innate Skyart on the losing side, which is a pretty impressive stat. Obviously, on the attacking side, they're going to prioritize that. But then on the defense side, the winning side, over on the right-hand side, 21 for Illusion, 22 for Krazer. We're making sure we keep our teammates in the action. Again, these respawn timers a little bit longer in Victory Unite, so I'm impressed with these numbers. Also, 25 kills from Canyon. That's a fantastic number considering the game got stifled on point 1A, the first point of the game. Crazy.
Yeah, this is pretty stellar because if you look at that roster, Canyon, Q-Pitch, Krazer, and even down below, Click, that's that Neffel Safe, right? Formerly known as Full Safe. We told you about those changes that they made to their roster at the top of the show here, but what you can see is how really balanced that roster is. Of course, you've got your heavy fraggers in the terms of Canyon, Q-Pitch, and Krazer, but they also are getting a large amount of those revives to preserve their number of tickets when it comes to defending. And I think that's just a really good cohesive roster considering the mode that we're in. You kind of have to be functional with your commander being elsewhere, right? Who finished there respectively 11th on that Du Bois roster, who is phenomenal as well. So just seeing those numbers is kind of the same, but you look over to Team Alpha, who was on that loss side. It's rather unfortunate, but they did have some really stellar performances. So let's click on over to the overall so you can really break it down. It's still impressive because you have Polskagurum on Team Alpha, who were the original top performing roster back in season 1 when it came to the winner side of things. They're not going to want to kick things off with a game number 1 loss. So expect them to throw down in game 2, Ghosh.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a really good shout. What I'm really looking forward to is just seeing if the attack can do it, right? I think a couple little nuancy things here. Obviously, the attackers, if they can win this map, literally take every single point all the way to D1 and D2 and win the map, they win the whole thing. However, I think the metric of success really, especially with how strong the defense was in this map, was if they just get point A. Like, if you get point A, you win the tiebreaker, and then you can make those decisions, right? So that's all they got to do, and I'm really excited to see if they can do it. I think you're right. I think they can absolutely strike back. I think the defense can step up and say, okay, we didn't do things right the first time. Let's see if we can correct our mistakes on the defensive side. I think they're still feeling pretty confident based on Discord comms, but some fun stat lines, and thanks for breaking that down for us. I think the last thing, I was talking to some of the players. I saw some of the players' comms back and forth. And I don't want to leak all the strats yet because some of the players might have the stream still open, but John the Bomb, I think, was doing the right thing in the first game, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of the right thing in the second game as well. We'll talk about it once we get into it, but obviously, usually our vehicle wheeler and dealer, as it were, on the defensive side he was haunting beacons, Tiff. He was running around shooting all the respawn beacons, making sure that the players couldn't get onto the point fast enough, and that's definitely a great strat for the defense. We'll see if the defense this time around does the same.
I mean, it's something to keep apprised of. Like when you come into that initial game number 1, we had that free cam shot and it was really showing the whole entirety of Trainwreck. And you could count on maybe all hands and feet how many respawn beacons were out there. There were a ton of them, which is the best thing to make sure you are keeping your team back in the fight. Mind you, if you're going to be hyper aggressive here in game number 2 of Delta Force Global League Season 2 Europe Warfare, get it now. Bring it to 1-1.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Here we go. We're back to Trainwreck. We swap sides. Again, the same thing. Your attack is going to be in red. Your defense is going to be in green all the way through, but they have swapped sides this time around. So pumped to see what happens for these teams. Trainwreck, I'd love to see the rest of this map. It's a beautiful map, and I think it's going to come down to vehicle usage. But again, tiebreaker, they've just got to capture that first point. If they capture A, they win the tiebreaker, and they'll have priority selection going into game 3. But of course, they can win the whole tournament right now by winning this map. The attack's got to take every single point. So let's get into it and see what they're able to do this time around as everybody spawns in. 180 lives to start things off.
Whew, all right, let's get into it. Okay, So immediately seeing kind of where people are going to be spawning, and as you look at it, they're going to immediately break. Some people are going to look towards that building in the center here, but obviously you want to kind of maneuver down onto the ground. Like you can shoulder peek around, maybe extend out a little further, use some of that utility, as you can see, signal decoder, all of the goodies here. But if we're going to just put that pressure on, the kill feed is already lighting up. You can see it there. Cupid's trying to answer back, but it's going to be Caspian, Exenti just getting those opening frags.
Yeah, and it's all about the respawn beacon play. You saw how many, it looks like Exenti was able to push all the way up and place one pretty deep into enemy territory for the defensive side. Pretty good strategy to make sure they can get bodies there as needed. Get bodies on the point quickly from a different angle. But slowly but surely, I think, based, again, on the comms I saw from the attack, this is a patient game. We don't need to play super aggressive. We need to look for openings, and we need to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to us the way it happened to our opponents just a moment ago. And so you can see the difference. Look at the slow play here from our tank operator off in the distance, just providing some covering fire, trying to blow some walls down the front, which I believe he might have already done to make sure this point's a little bit easier to access.
I'm all about that, but on board Gazia, immediately diving for cover. It's all about, if you're going to be Stinger, you are a battle medic, which is great, right? But you're also a self-healing extraordinaire. So why not drop onto the ATV, reposition yourself, and keep that pressure on, especially if you're looking for some of these cheeky angles. Go behind enemy lines. Flanking is imperative to take everyone by storm, especially though they'll make that call out. So I can only imagine we'll be able to get a couple of kills out of this. But looking to the hills, you see the player peek just closer. Unfortunately, on their left, and will be cut down.
Yeah, trading of blows here, but already some action on point A. As Funky and co are on the point, battling for a hold here. You can see on the left-hand side, this is a commander issuing an order. This is gonna, obviously, if you're able to secure this, you're gonna get extra points for your team to be able to use your support systems. But already the attack making nice headway on the point. Defense, a nice counterattack though. They've opened things back up because our tank is not playing extremely aggressive. There's a little bit more room to work with on this point, and the defense is able to get there faster.
I mean, you think about the differences that we saw comparatively to game one and game number two. Where was that vehicle in game one? It was inside of A, trying their best to survive. But when you have a slew of engineers ready to completely combat that and rip it down, of course you want to be more conservative with your tank. Maybe use that long to mid range. And here we go, boy, hitting the res, preserving those tickets and getting the teams back on their feet. And do I see a John de Bomb in the vehicle? Because that makes perfect sense at this point.
John de Bomb in the tank playing the backline support. He's opened things up pretty dramatically for his team. They're able to get back onto the point yet again. They've also got a transport vehicle that is swarming the point. This one we can give away for free as needed, comparatively to our tank. Tank playing backup. Here's a look at it. On the back line, shelling down into the point, at least getting some folks weak, if not a couple kills left, right, and center. You can see kills coming through. You also see Slicks in the tank picking up some kills as well. So far, so good. Heisen, our commander, I think, in that transport vehicle, getting active on the point. The attack of a nice push right now, and I think John the Bomb's plan is to try to bring down some of these defensive players that are running towards the point, less shelling the point. We've got to weed out those numbers so my people on the point can actually win their fights.
Well, back on board, Polska Gurum here. Mind you, they were on the losing side on game number one, and they just have to get A here to tie it up. So Zerf says, that's fine. I'll get active, dive straight in. It doesn't even matter. And we'll even preserve, get our team back up. And Kopoti is going to come back in, commander for the team here on your screen. But I love this. That's how you gotta do it. Just be aggressive. Use that cover naturally. And even with the pistol fight, the reload coming in, I thought he was gonna be able to save that.
Yeah, unfortunately goes down, and that is a successful A capture. That is not the tournament. We're not done yet, but that does mean our attacking team right now, which is Team Bravo, will win the tiebreaker, even if they don't win this entire map. But this is obviously the furthest we've gotten this map thus far. And again, I think it's a really well-coordinated effort from the side of Team Bravo. As they're on an attack right now, they're in final form. They basically only down 7 tickets from start, right? We started at 180. They lost about 60. They gained back about 50. Very well done so far. Now it's about controlling this high ground position on the hill, be able to push back the attack, try to weed out their numbers, and make sure they don't have a continual momentum push on to B. B, not an insane insanely difficult point to grab, especially if you have momentum. You see the vehicles getting involved in the backline, should open things up a little bit. But if you get stifled here, there is a decent chance the game could end on B. The point is underneath the bridge. And so depending on the way the defense sets up, if they're able to kind of stifle this momentum, slow things down, and get fully set up, it actually can be decently difficult to take. So we'll see what they're able to do here.
Will be tough. I mean, look, initially, once they unlocked B, you saw what the vehicles did do. They split to the opposing side. You have Yellow Love and John DeBomb just ahead of Volkswagen here, and thankfully, we are investing as much of this damage as we can, and quite frankly, we're open here, but no one's going to be able to destroy him just yet. He's using that natural terrain just ahead of B for that cover, and honestly, a near miss, because I will say John DeBomb is one of the most evasive vehicle drivers when it comes to warfare. And the pocket engineers are already there.
Yeah, I think that's such a key call out. If you haven't watched a coordinated warfare tournament, engineers are everything. Tanks, vehicle warfare, obviously a big key factor in success, but the vehicle warfare just doesn't exist without the engineers. Keeping that thing alive constantly, having the pocket engineers changes the game entirely. One of the things I'm noticing, less pocket engineers even, and more coordinated effort. I think the defense right now struggling to coordinate with their missile attacks. You can have all the engineers you want, but if you got 5 AT4s all firing around the same time at the tank, that thing's going down. And that's what happened in the last one, mostly because the tank was somewhat out of position. It was easier to target, but even still, it seems like they just can't quite get their footing here on the defensive side. And I think it's just a matter of time before they get broken wide open on B as well.
Well, I love that we're already making these changes and these adaptations here, especially on Polska Guram here. The Shepherds, right? You want to bring out those sonic traps, the frag grenades, anything that you can. They're already working to rip apart the vehicles and stop these pushes that you were talking about. So seeing them adapt quickly, it's going to need to happen. However, when you have John DeBomb, who's constantly lighting up that kill feed, just being an absolute nuisance, it's going to make things more difficult for the other side. And you can see it, the entrance right here on the bottom left, just full sending in. Heisen, the captain, the commander-in-chief, right there alongside them.
So far, so good. John DeBomb getting pretty active on the point this time. He's got his engineers, recognizes there's not a coordinated effort. A couple missiles striking, looking decently low, but engineer's going to keep him up, like you said. It's a great effort from Turbo. He just needs more help. We need more people, and they finally get it down. Tank is down from what I saw. Heisen down as well. John DeBomb killed. This could be an opening that the defense needs. The problem is, it's just too little too late. We're already moving into points C1 and C2. And here's the thing, Tiff. Yes, we lost a tank, but we've absolutely earned enough score to call in another one. I think that was a nice strategic call from John to say, we can sacrifice this vehicle because I can get another one right after this, especially if it lets us capture this point.
Yeah, I think that's just absolutely the move there. You can see Slick center of your screen making a move, and it's Heisen, right? Our commander. He's got that nice logo on top of him so you can keep tabs on him in the free cam all the way out towards the right. Now, the biggest important thing is going to make sure that you've got all of the information necessary for these coordinated pushes. So diving on board, Q-Pitch first to go down. Canyon trying to hold it together. 5 HP, gonna fall. Fraser team looking for the angles. That SG-552 in hand, and we're just looking for some of that mid-range backup. Even just popping over the top of these train carts, just giving that information before you move in. Those smokes, sure, they can be a deterrence, but that's what Luna's all about.
Yeah, and this is something that the players were talking a lot about, making sure they're using their recon operators to get these respawn beacons down. So you're going to see a Luna, a Hat Claw on pretty much, if not every single squad. It'll be almost every single squad. Obviously, probably the one exception to that rule would be our squad that's in the tanks. Probably going to be the Du Bois, mostly engineers. Complete onslaught right now, trying to find who's got the advantage on C1 and C2. As a reminder, this goes C1, C2, then we go D1 and D2. And I would say C1 and C2 is where I've seen a lot of maps end here on Trainwreck. So this is going to be a tall task for the attack. So far, they've already done what they needed to win the tiebreaker, and everything else is just a cherry on top, potentially winning this tournament here.
Definitely is. Funky. Barricading forward, making those call outs, still looking for the angles. You've got this fence here, and we're just going to keep on swinging for the hills. Data knife going out, and well, goodbye, vehicle. We'll see you later. Working towards this, and I like these angles. If you're gonna jump onto the stairs, filter through the doorways, leave minimal openings for the opposing side to come on in the jump down. Could you imagine if we just hit something crazy instead of just losing our life right there?
Yeah, I love talking macro, but I do love watching the micro hero plays of somebody going absolutely massive on the map with some crazy outplays.
I was ready for it. I was ready for it, but their friend went ahead and took them down, and instead we lose our life in the process. But you see the shields coming on in, and we're gonna slowly barricade in. Little DJ out towards the left, not before being ripped down now. Here is the ultimate standoff inside the building, just constantly keeping apprised of these windows on either side. But when you have multiple players filtering through, Click, there's maybe like a meter worth that he can actually get hit from up here. And he's using this cover nicely with the angle.
Patience is a virtue oftentimes on these points. And since this is the first time we've seen a 2-point capture zone, I will continue to use the terminology I've been using for now almost a year on this game, ever since the open beta. This is the classic tug of war, and it's right now absolutely heavily moving towards the attacking side as they have C2 and are pushing for C1 right now. Unbelievable effort from the attack, absolutely dominating this competition. Usually the tug of war lasts a bit longer. The defense holds 1 point, the attack holds the other. They then change points, hand them off. But right now, the attack's done a really good job of capturing one, leaving the tank on that point, and just about everybody else besides a select few players moving over to the other. So because of that, they've been able to capture C1 and C2 and have full lives going into D1 and D2. This is a monumental moment here. As a reminder, we were talking tiebreakers, folks. We may not even need it. We are going, this is a single best of 3. We are going into D1 and D2 for the game. Unreal.
Insane, but what do you expect when you've gotten a full save here on Team Bravo? We spent a lot of time watching them. That's going to be Canyon, Click, Krazer, and Cupid. And, well, quite frankly, when you had your top fraggers from game number 1 on the attacking side of things now, you know it's going to be really tough to try and stop any sort of flow that they've got moving on. But for Alcatraz, we're going to sit on board here with them. Team Red, White on your screen. And, well, we'll wait for the rest of them to get back on board. But for now, it's NSD and Alcatraz trying to get into that next course of action. But this train broken down bridge should provide a lot of those angles on this maneuver towards the next points.
Yeah, and this is such an interesting point on Trainwreck 2. You got to remember, one of the only points in the game, actually, that D1 and D2, a split zone like this, is actually vertically stacked rather than kind of horizontally stacked. You got to kind of walk through D1 to get to D2. Of course, you can go around, but it's more of a linear path, which is going to be really interesting for the defense to see what they're able to do. They spawned very close to D2. It's going to be the easiest point to hold in the game, technically, because of respawn points. But with the amount of support systems that our attacker is going to be able to call in, you should see potentially some guided missiles or a lot more vehicles being called in for the attackers for this final push. They are taking D1 nearly immediately.
Look, you gotta do what you gotta do, and this onslaught that the attackers have been able to throw down here on Team Bravo has just been too much, and Team Alpha really doesn't have much time to completely stop the bleeding on this sector objective. So we'll see what that's gonna look like here, but for now, Vazia immediately getting ripped to shreds from just maybe showing a couple inches of their head at that point. So back to the bridge we go, and it just seems like chaos over chaos. Our observers are just finding all of the death.
Yeah, and here's a quick look at D1. Obviously, has been captured already from the attacker's side. It looks like our vehicle warfare has continued as down onto the point. They're actually able to keep the vehicle alive. They win the 1v1 in the vehicle battle as well. Serial Killer is keeping their dreams alive. Potentially take this. As a reminder, yes, this is a complete different, mode of play compared to what we saw last game, Tiff. But it doesn't mean this tournament is over. If the defense is able to hold on D1 and D2, we still go to game 3. It doesn't matter how far you go. You just got to get past your opponents. But to win this whole tournament, our attackers have to take both points. We'll see what they're able to do.
They really do. Well, you've got Turbo Supercharge here from Meet Your Memers. And, well, when you're on Team Alpha and you are on that savior side, you've got to do what you can do to finesse and find any angle as possible. Alcatraz there on that D1. That's conflicting, right? Because if you're on the defense, you're trying to carve it back, but it's been really difficult for that to happen. But when Westa starts to show up, that's going to be that Ruffalo team, and they're super close to being able to pull it back. But we just got to keep tabs because these angles, man, I'm telling you, they're winning on their close range engagements, their vehicles, and now even these mid-range battles.
Yeah, we've got another vehicle drop here. This was actually a pretty strategic play and a little bit of luck. They barely got it in time, but our commander signaled to hold D1, and it was being recapped. You can see it. It's green right now. It has been recapped mostly by the defense, but they got that secure just in the nick of time for that timer to be red right when that timer ended for the command order. So because of that, they were able to earn some extra score and be able to call in a vehicle. Immediately, we see some vehicle warfare off of the right-hand side. And almost instantaneously, Heisen's being taken down right now. It looks like our defense has set up well. And finally, with the tank off in the distance, this is going to help each other out. This is going to help the attack refine their footing. I think it's Yellow Love in the tank playing support from way down under, throwing shells downrange to try to take out some of the defense. And it looks like John the Bomb in the tank destroyer doing what he does best, which is wheel and deal and pick up a ton of kills. Basically 1v5ing on point D2, trying to open up a little bit of breathing room to retake D1.
Well, what I love, as soon as we saw the... Oh, okay. Look, I'm just telling you, sometimes you got to take a quick scope with a rocket launcher to make things happen, but they already have anti-tank mines down around the point. So making sure that these vehicles actually take the pressure moving on in, but Boy is going to answer back with some of the vehicles of their own. You can see that respawn beacon there on the bridge. Explosions coming on in, but you really see... another vehicle. Look, you lose a vehicle, you bring one in. It's just that constant influx and chaos. But I love that Yellow Love, what they're going to be able to prioritize is throwing down that damage towards the opposing vehicle.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they connected on too many of them. So we're going to see the defense get into it. But this is a classic strategy. I think that's an IFV. We'll have to get a look at it here in a second. But, you know, it's classic strategy. If you can take down vehicles before they land, fantastic. But that doesn't matter right now. Take a look at the top middle of your screen. D1 fully captured by the attack. D2 under fire right now. This is a huge push for them, and they've got urgent backup deployment time for another 20 seconds. It means your respawns are going to come a lot quicker. This is a huge push for the attack, and they're trying to make the most use of it that they can. Defense has swarmed the point. It's not looking like the attacker is going to be able to take it, but this is such a scare for the defense. They cannot lose both of these points, or they lose this whole tourney.
It's getting really close, and they're down to 100 tickets at this point, so we'll see how it goes. This is the closest it's been, but there's not a lot left on D2. It is down to the wire, and I'm starting to feel nervous.
Yeah, this is a heroic effort here from Voltaic and Codes. Deathstroker, Illusion, Justice playing fantastic right now. Really battling for position on this point, making sure all of these spawns... It's not about killing everyone, it's about killing as many as you can so that the numbers that swarm the point are weak enough to where you can make a defense. This is less about single heroic plays and more about the macro. But as we take D2, the classic tug of war begins, and the defense says, well, we can't refine position, let's go for D1. Here's the problem. Classic strategy working flawlessly. Everybody go to D2. We sit a single tank on the point to make sure D1 would be nearly impossible to retake. Does look like the defense has restabilized a bit onto D2, but great effort from the attack. They're doing everything right. It feels like just a matter of time. I think the question is can they do it in enough time? Only 78 lives remaining, but doing everything right.
Yeah, so you immediately saw when we kind of panned back, it was that Ruffalo team, little DJ, Be Quiet. They were trying to make a play to recapture, but can we talk about how we just survived that? I'm talking these close range engagements, especially around those points have been wild, but D1, my eyes have been on that all day, because if you had Be Quiet, who had formerly played on Du Bois, has known success, knows what it's like to win, and just wants to feel that again, especially when you jump back to Polskagurum. They do not want to let it go in a 2-0 fashion. I can't imagine your Delta Force Global League European Warfare Season 1 champs are going to want that.
I totally agree. Kill feed lighted up by the attackers. Tank Destroyer, extremely valuable. This is something they want to keep alive. It's going to be able to make a lot of value on the point. Pupati did not find an angle there, was just trying to get that thing reloaded so he could potentially do a bit of damage, but with the engineers around, pocket engineer, absolutely valuable. But keep an eye, top, middle. And anytime we go to the free cam, you're going to see it looks like all the defense has respawned here, trying to push for D1. I'm going to find an angle on D1 at the very least. D2 under fire right now. D1 under fire. And unfortunately, a split push from the defense is actually probably not the play. You want to try to restabilize on a single point. And so now we've swapped positions. Take a look at this. Most of our attackers are on D1 and on D2. Now we've got the tank in a select squad trying to make a push and open things up for their team. This is how you do it, folks. Very well coordinated.
Well, Toxic Squad, Vabatrow, gonna hit that res. It's gonna be brilliant to make sure that we keep that pressure on. It's been so close, but down to around 40 tickets now through the smoke, through the chaos. This is how you have to survive. Just bring it on out. You take pressure from behind, you hit that one, but that is where Stinger is clutch until you have the reinforcements that catch you from a different angle. Ags and T here. I love the angles that we're taking, but someone's gotta rip this player off the hill or we're not gonna survive underneath the bridge.
This is such a difficult double point to take. Again, the linear progression of D1 and D2 is such an interesting kind of wrinkle in the twist of these 2-point capture zones. Here comes Alcatraz getting into the mix, saying, let me open things up for the boys. And by the boys, not talking about the team, talking about the overall side. Again, 5 teams of 4, all qualified to be here, split up onto separate teams and being asked to say, hey, we may have never played together, we may have played against each other, but now we've got to coordinate together. The attackers, Team Bravo, they won map 1 by holding point A, and they've pushed all the way to D2. They have 26 lives remaining. They probably have maybe one really strong push left, and Alcatraz is going for it right now, getting into the mix the best they can while keeping their vehicle alive to coordinate this push. They have full control over to D1. A couple folks on the flank, they're holding it correctly, trying to get everybody respawn to make this push, and they've done it. We're on to D2, Tiff. This is a huge moment for them. It's on the back of this forward squad. I think that's Q-Pitch, I think, on the point, and then we've got the Tank Destroyer playing backup. They found an angle on the backside, and here comes the defense.
Yeah, but with 16 tickets, D2 has been the most complex, but if you're gonna do it, bring in the artillery barrage. Let that do work. If not, you're going to force these people off the point, and hopefully we can make something happen. We hit a res, we preserve a ticket, but the explosion comes in, and we are collateral damage. Canyon there, dead center on D2. Gets shredded, but look how close we are. And with 7 tickets remaining, it's going to be a close one, Goj.
It's insanely close. D2 is being completely captured here. Some last moments from vehicles to get onto D2. They've grabbed it. D2 fully contained. D1 is about to be captured as well. The final push from the defense to try to hold either point. They've taken a little bit back of D2, and there's only 1 life remaining. A guided missile called in. I don't know if it'll matter. It's probably landing directly onto D2. It couldn't get any closer right now. And just barely, the defense is going to win this one. It literally could not have gotten any closer. Defense is on their heels the entire game. The defense could not find any stabilization point. And I mean, I think they got to 100% on D1, and I want to say like 85% on D2. This tournament was almost over right then and there. And just barely in the nick of time, those 2 vehicles swarming a D2 and take back enough to where the tournament or the game was over. Not the tournament. We still got game 3. What a way to finish game 2. That was a nail biter. Holy cow.
Yeah, Team Bravo was definitely looking to put the finishing touches. Let's just put it that way. But they came down to the wire. You said it. 20 or so tickets before that initial push that we saw. The artillery coming in, and we were like, okay, is this going to work? Will it be enough? And sure, it does get a lot of team off there, but unfortunately they could not hold on. I love that you make that call out for that vehicle that just kind of full send straight onto D2. It is like, I am making that final play to keep my season 2 dream alive, and that's enough, which brings us to that game 3 Goj, which makes me so excited because you know it's going to get chaotic depending on how people are going to pick which side which things that they play. Oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah,
give it to us, Goj.
I'm so pumped about this. Again, it couldn't have been closer in that one, but technically that is 1-1 in our series, so we're going to be going to game 3. And a lot to talk about here, but obviously we know which team has the priority selection. It's going to be Team Bravo, who was just on the attack. They got much, much further than their opponents, and so they get to pick side or map. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's take a look back on that map. It was a really fun one to watch. And I think, again, it all started here. The attacks did such a good job of coordinating their pushes while maintaining distance with their vehicles, with the pocket engineers, to keep them alive so that they could shell the point, open things up, and then the attackers could just get bodies on the point faster than the defense.
Yeah, and this is where you can kind of see some of those plays. But when you're playing driving simulator, like such as John DeBomb at this point, it's good to go back to the free cams to see the different setups. Right now, if I'm the opposing team, what am I going to do? It's not like I'm going to come look at our main broadcast to see exactly what he was doing, but it's clearly working. But this is that Polska Gurum roster that we've been talking about that is on Team Alpha. And we know the kind of pressure that they can have when it comes to these coordinated, aggressive pushes. But that's going to be the same thing as we would say from the roster that you just witnessed in the replays, because their setups, the top fragging potential that we witnessed from game number 1 was nutty from No Full Safe.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good breakdown. And again, this final push, I love this map. I love the linear progression of this map, but it was vehicle warfare all day, and it all came down to vehicles in the final moments. Some great tug of war, but then the rope was almost fully on the attacker side. Look at this final couple points here. D1 and D2 both being captured. D2 almost fully captured, and it was because of some late moments with the vehicles to save the day. The defense are even able to play again. And the question is, will they be attack or defense in this next game? I think I know, but we're going to wait for the players to make some decisions. A guided missile to add a little insult to injury there. Crazer able to grab a triple post-mortem, I believe, after the game was over. Very cool moment there in the last second with that guided missile, but not enough. If you would have gotten that guided missile off, by the way, like, I want to say 10, 15 seconds earlier, Tiff, I actually think the attack wins on that map. Like, it was that close, just a hair too late. I'm not sure it's because we didn't have score in time or it was just called a little bit too late, but with the delay of calling it and then it actually landing 10 seconds earlier, I think they win. It was that close. That's how close that game was. Folks, we're going to let the players make some decisions behind the screen and do some score mathematician stuff behind the scenes. And we're going to take a very short break here in the booth. But I want to remind you of how this is going to work. Again, we've got game 3 coming. It's 1-1 in the series. And our priority selection side is going to be Team Bravo, who's just on the attack. They're going to either select the map that we play, or they're going to select the side they want to play. If they decide to pick a side, the other team picks the map first, and then they choose attack or defense. I think they'll probably choose defense, but you never know. It depends on the map. So let's wait with bated breath. Let's take a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, it's going to be game 3 to determine the victor.
大家好，我是 Shadow， 非常高兴 Delta Force 规模非常大的新赛季即将推出，也特别期待大家的反馈。关于大家一直想要的主机版本，我们一直在努力的在做准备。今天终于有一个好消息会告诉大家 ，Delta Force 的主机版本将在8月19日正式推出，会登陆 PS5、Xbox 并且是免费游玩的。黑鹰坠落也会作为免费 DLC 推出。再过几个小时，我们的主机版本的商店页面即将开放请大家记得把我们添加进入心愿单。同时呢，我们也会推出一个超值的主机平台的礼包，然后现在购买可以在主机上线的时候获取。我们也将在7月份开启主机平台的先检技术测试，请大家关注我们的官网和各大的官方社区。我们也将在陆续发布一些招募的一些指引，欢迎大家来体验，也希望大家多多给我们提一些反馈意见，我们会对这些反馈意见做出很好的优化和修改。同时呢 ，Delta Force 是我们团队的第一款的跨端产品，也是我们首次在主机平台上的尝试。我们的团队花费了非常多的时间和心力，然后我们希望能够把产品打磨好，和大家见面。也感谢大家一直在耐心的等待和支持。我们会继续努力，会打磨好我们的主机版本。除此之外，我还想给大家带来一些全球电竞的新消息。 今年呢，我们将举办首届的 Delta Force 烽火地带的全球总决赛，来自8大赛区的顶级战队将在烽火地带的战场上角逐首个全球的总冠军头衔。各个赛区的预选赛也将逐步的开展，每一位玩家都有机会参与。更多的消息请关注我们的官方社区。最后，我想真心的感谢所有的玩家在社区里面给我们反馈了非常多有价值的意见，也一起创作了很多有趣的话题和内容。过去几个月，我们看到了非常多各种各样充满创造力和想象力的作品不断的在社区里面出现，整个团队其实是非常喜欢也非常开心的，也期待有更多的一些内容在社区里面出现。谢谢大家，让我们一起打造更好的 Delta Force。
Alrighty, we are back. We just finished game 2, and I've got to say, game 3 is going to be a ton of fun, but let's take a look at the scores here. This is pretty impressive stuff. Tiff, take me through this. I mean, obviously, John the Bomb on the Team Bravo side with 70 kills is unbelievable, but talk to me about some of the other stat lines.
Look, I'm telling you, if you are going to be in a vehicle, you might as well have a stat line like that. That's quite impressive. Love that for John DeBomb. Love the success. But you look on over to Team Alpha, our winning team. So far, that defense has just proven to be so important. But since the game really drug out to the final moments, you're going to see a lot of boosted score lines, which is going to help when you have to look for top medic, top slayer. And I'm looking at Polska Guram. We were talking about that team that was the large charge in Season 1, the #1 ranked team from the winning side of things. So of course, when they come over towards Season 2, they're going to look to put up similar numbers. And right there, when you see Skya Art, 39 kills, and even X-Prey from Grum at 46. So just knowing that that's really important on those score lines, but that's not even the top fragging potential. It was really close between Vabatrow as well, with 47 coming in just 1 kill above, and that's going to be from Toxic Squad. And Toxic Squad was on the losing side of things in Season 1. So knowing that we've brought it to a 1-1 scoreline, moving ahead of Game 3 here, we've already put out how much we can do. Now you just have to kind of lock it in and do it again.
Yeah, great breakdown. I love that we can see how all of these teams do as well. But let's take a look at the overall. And again, it is 1-1, but this is a really impressive bout here from Team Bravo. And again, you're going to see such a massive scoreline because the game just went way longer in the second round with a massive score tally, almost winning it all. Just impressive stat lines. Obviously, they've got quite a bit more kills. John the Bomb leading the charge over there, and a score difference. But it is 1-1, and just because you have more score or more kills doesn't mean you're going to win this whole tournament. We are going to Game 3, and our teams are in the selection process right now to figure out what we're going to do and how it's going to work. So now, as our teams are working on this, Tiff, I want to take a look at our format graphic again to break this down, to describe how it works to everybody at home, because it is not confusing, but it's just intricate because this is a competitive format. So I want to talk about this. Let's bring the format graphic back up. We're going to game 3, folks. So I'm going to draw your eyes to the bottom middle of the screen, game 3 mode. The selection priority goes to Team Bravo. So the way this works is that they can either choose map or they can choose side. But because they're the priority selector, if they say they want to choose side, the other team chooses map first. So the other team, that's going to be Team Alpha, is going to choose the map they want to play. And then our priority team, aka Team Bravo, they got further in the attacking side. They are the ones choosing attack or defense. So I think this is going to be really fun to watch out for. We're letting those commanders and the teams vote to figure out what map and what mode, what side they want to pick. I did get word, by the way, that our Team Bravo has elected to choose side, which makes a lot of sense. And so the onus responsibility is now on Team Alpha to choose the map they want to play. So we can talk a little bit about strategies. Our maps they can choose from are on the right side of the screen: Ascension, Crack, Threshold, Trainwreck, Trench Lines. I mean, I think, Tiff, my brain goes to, you expect the priority selector to choose the defense. Most likely, they probably feel like that's the easiest thing to do, especially because they dominated on defense in the first map. So then I guess if I am our secondary team here that lost the tiebreaker, I guess I try to choose a map where I feel like the attack has a slight advantage. I mean, that's where my brain goes to.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And you immediately look at Ascension and you're like, no, I do not want to attack on Ascension in any way, shape, or form, especially when you think about some of those later sectors and you're just like, that's just not gonna happen. So I don't know what our attacking side is going to feel more comfortable with, because quite frankly, I just feel like the defense in these Delta Force Global League has just been the way they've been so cohesive, depending on who's going, right? It doesn't matter. Like, even though we saw the defense almost fall there at the end. So, I mean, look, if they've almost did it once, they might as well try it again, right?
Yeah, I think so too. If I am maybe our, a secondary selector, if I have to choose the map, knowing that we'll probably get attacked, but not necessarily, I think I saw some player comms, and I think I'm right there. I think Cracked, you don't have to capture that many points if they choose defense. The attack might have a slight advantage. I don't know. It really could go any way. It really comes down to what these teams are most comfortable with, too. I think most people want to play defense in Victory Unite. They feel like it's easier, but the last map showed us anything. Yes, defense won, but just barely on a fairly long map. Cracked is a pretty short map. It's a difficult map, but it is quite short. Maybe that's what we go for. Maybe we'll see our priority selectors still take defense on Cracked, or who knows, they could flip the tide and say, oh, you think attack is easier on Cracked? So do we. We're going to take the attack. I have no idea how it's all going to play out. But it'll be fun to watch out and see what these teams decide to select. But yeah, Tiff, were you expecting to go to game 3 in our very first round?
Yes, I honestly, I was, right? I expected them to both win the defenses. I didn't expect it to come that close in game number 2. It almost ended at 2-0. So that was not on my plans. Regardless, I know that I'm really excited to see how this game 3 is going to look. I know for a fact that our teams probably don't want to run it back on Trainwreck, despite being super close on securing that at that second game. So, ooh.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I'm really looking forward to this one. Our team's still selecting a few things, making sure everything's 100% solidified before we announce. I'm loving what I'm seeing, though, from our team's comms. There's a lot of communication around strategy, and it's been fun to watch. Now, Tiff, I think talk to me a little bit about what you've seen in the first 2 maps. Obviously, we talked macro strategy a lot. Talk to me a little bit about the operators, because this is something you and I talk about all the time, is operator selections, what people have been doing. And we've been harping on it a little bit, but I think this is a key factor in the success of both of these teams, regardless of map or side.
Yeah, I think it all stems from the use of vehicles, right? Especially being on Trainwreck. So how can we counteract what we're seeing there? And that's the selection of the engineers. And that's going to be to counteract the vehicles, but also to keep those vehicles in place. So we had a ton of Alurus, a ton of Shepherds, but in terms of the recon and the use of the respawn beacons, you made a really stellar call out, right? Those Lunas are so important, especially with those arrows going out to give you the information through the smokes, which have been incredibly prevalent. So between the recon operators, the engineer operators, those have really been the most. I did see 1 Nox in there at some point in time, and that's because you're just trying to get a little snaky when it comes to some of those flanks, and we didn't get too many of those power plays that I would have loved to see. Some more did come out in game number 2, but I'm hoping for maybe some more power plays in game number 3. You got to leave it all out to win it all, because, I mean, granted, this is your last chance.
Yeah, it is your last chance. Whoever wins this map wins the tournament. In is your champion. Obviously, $10,000 up for grabs for this side. That's $500 for all 20 players. And then obviously our top Slayer and top Medic also win a bit of cash as well. Another $500. Not a bit of cash, a lot of cash. Now, I am getting word from production. I was taking a look at my feed here, and I think we've got everything selected. We're getting that finalized, making sure everybody's confirmed, making sure they're in the lobby. I'm about to get started. Tiff, I don't want to leak it yet because I want to make sure it's 1,000% correct, but it's about what I expected. I think this is going to be a really fun match to watch from people at home, and I'm excited to get into it. A great breakdown on operators. We talked about vehicle gameplay. This is Warfare, folks. It's utter chaos, but the thing you've noticed probably throughout the course of these first two maps is that coordination is everything, and being able to think on your feet and coordinate with another squad you've maybe never played with, or maybe don't even like, who knows, doesn't matter. You got to play for the win, and you got to play as a team. And I think the commander comes into a key factor there too. Remember, Victory Unite, totally different amount of lives. You've got the commander processes. You've seen a couple of those come into play and be pretty significant in terms of earning some extra score. There's a lot of folks we can talk about and in that category of being good commanders, but I'm getting word we are ready to rock and roll. So let's take a look at it. As expected. Now, of course, I'm not going to tout myself too much. This is, I think, an easy choice, and I was paying attention to some of the comms, but we are going to Cracked. So, again, the way this worked, our priority team, which is going to be Team Bravo, who did a better job in those two games, they chose to select side. So we go to the other team, and they say, well, they're probably going to select defense. Where do we think we can attack the best from? We think it's Cracked. We're going Cracked. Let's see what they decide to choose. We go back to a priority team, and they say, it's on Cracked. Do we think attack has an advantage? I don't know. We're going to go defense. That's where we're most comfortable. Let's play on the defensive side on Team Bravo. And so we're going to see Team Bravo, who, again, held Team Alpha to point A on Trainwreck, play defense on Cracked. Tiff, what do you think of this decision? Are you feeling good about it? Are you nervous for Team Bravo? Do you think they're still going to win?
No, okay, look, I'm not going to take sides in any way, shape, or form, but I think if Team Bravo is immediately choosing defense, they're going to feel confident no matter what. Now, granted, if they would have gotten a map like Ascension, they would have felt 100,000 times more confident. Of course, if you're Team Alpha, you are not picking that map in any way, shape, or form. And picking Cracked, one of the maps that has been out in Delta Force since the very beginning, you're going to feel more confident on it because you've had more time in it. You can kind of coordinate your efforts between the initial rosters. And as we dive into our final game here of Europe Warfare in the Delta Force Global League Season 2, it's the respawn beacons already getting down, and it's going to be NSD Alcatraz trying to open things up.
And immediately, again, this map is quite a bit shorter than the rest of them, but because of that, point A sometimes is a little difficult to take. And we thought Trainwreck was going to be an easy point to take for the attackers. It ended up being stifled there immediately, so we'll see what happens this time around. Cracked, obviously, the OG of all OG maps. This is the original map from the original Delta Force reimagined. It's been in the game since the very beginning, in the alpha and the open betas, and all the way to now. A fun map, a hotly contested map. A lot of debate around this map, but a fun one regardless. And the attack is already swung up onto A and getting a ton of value on the point. The defense has done what they usually do, which is scatter around the point, trying to play these flanks and weed numbers down to a point where they can take points easily. But in the process of doing that, they've left open the actual point itself to almost all of the attack who are on the point and getting a decent value out of it.
Oh, all right. Meet your memers. Here we are. 2 Stingers, a Luna, a Hack Claw. You're feeling confident. You were asking about the operators. And look, if you're going to be looking to hit that offense heavy, right? Just get in there, get those angles. You can see we're already taking rooftops. We're feeling super confident, but it's Volkswagen on the ground. Zerf and Skya they are going to be here looking to preserve lives if they can. The QCQ in hand and just pulling out the utility. I like our angles here, but A may convert here shortly.
Yeah, this is exactly why they chose the attack here. Or sorry, this is exactly why they chose Cracked, rather. They didn't choose the attack. Team Alpha.
They ended that way.
They said, we hope when we pick Cracked, they go defense. We feel more comfortable on the attack. And they're right. They were able to capture point A very quickly. They weren't able... I've been harping on this, but it's a really important note. They weren't able to attack and capture point A on Trainwreck at all. They lost on the very first point. They've already done better than that this time around. But unfortunately, Doesn't matter how far you get. It's about who wins. The defense wins this, they win the tournament. The attack wins this, they win the tournament. It's 1-1. This is game 3. Everything is on the line.
Back to the overview here. You can look towards the setup, especially towards that temporary command area. And you've got the players that are lining the back and obviously the front, but tech that angle across the road to be able to kind of just put that pressure down. However, when it comes to these hills, they definitely have eyes. You do have some engineers with their launchers and some initial close range 1v1s. You've got to win your ones, especially out there, but it's going to be Serial Killer in the vehicle from very far behind. And I do like it as we get geared up for battle.
And again, much better job this time. Serial Killer is kind of playing on the backside. It was Westa that was driving the vehicles a little bit more into the mix, playing a high-risk play. It usually can work, especially in pubs. In coordinated efforts like this, not as much. So this time they're playing a little bit more patient. It's working for them. They're getting a little value here on B1. This is going to be the classic tug of war that we talk about all the time, where you got to try to pressure one point, make the defense hold the other, and then try to swarm, make a momentum play for the second point, and hope you don't give up the point you left. Usually it's done by leaving a vehicle on the point you originally capped. B1, the much easier point to take in cracked. It's a lot more open, a lot more room to work. But the defense is not going to give it up 100% easily. They're going to still make a play for this. I don't know if this is a mistake necessarily, but it looks like the defense is completely losing B1 and losing a lot of lives in the process, which is opening up this flank for B2. Potentially try to take both of these nearly at the same time. You can already see B2 starting to tick down.
Kind of challenging, right? If you're Team Bravo and you're like immediately locking in the defense, this is the risk because you don't get to pick the map that you're going to feel the most comfortable on, but you're assuming that you can hold no matter what. So knowing that where B1 is about to fall, B2 is going to have to be that focus, but recapping B1 for the defense will need to be important. Caspian here, as soon as he peeks in, falls, but we keep on filtering through to see what Vazia is up to. M7 in hand, hits the nice reload, but it's the open terrain that we're looking to cut people down in. However, the influx of the opposing side is just too much to deal with.
Look for a big.
One more on me. Wait. You see the...
Got some commander comms leaking through there. And again, Victor Unite here. The commanders are able to talk to all the squad leaders and issue commands. You can hear a little bit of that coming through as we swap perspectives around. But the free cam showed it, Tiff. Obviously, the attack moving. They're I think they've just found their footing. This is a completely different team than what we witnessed in the very first game. Stabilized, taken point. B1 now pushing for B2. Now, obviously, the defense going to strike back with a tank of their own. Vehicle is going to be a huge play here, but vehicle spawn's a bit different, obviously, than Trainwreck, correct? A whole different beast. If you haven't played this map in a while, you got to remember how difficult it can be on either side. A very swingy, momentum-based map. I think a lot of our pubs players struggle to capture points on this map, but in coordinated esports, it's definitely easier. We've seen a lot of really cool moments on this map with tanks climbing walls, shooting down into B2. We might see that here in a little bit. But a stalemate between B1 and B2. Plenty of lives, though. This is not even close to being over. Got 136 still on the map. A lot of room to work.
Yo, I don't know how we didn't get taken down there. We get out with our lives. You've got the friendly Toxic that's going to help with some of her utility here to maintain our presence. We take some damage. We initially filter on, but we go through the door, and that's when you get ripped to shreds. And it just seems like all that chaos is happening here. We'll kind of zoom on out, get a good look at B1. As you can see, you got Meet Your Memers that are kind of uniting around to push out that presence. That's going to be Team Alpha. They're the ones that chose Cracked. They're feeling confident on this map. They're best coordinated effort to turn this into a Europe Warfare win here in Season 2.
Very strong right now. They're even getting value on B2, even though a majority of the team was on B1. Nice opening push is going to be the signal flare for everybody else to storm across this wide open space. This is really where you need a lot of smokes to cover this distance, but also some vehicles to open things up. Now, C1 and C2, honestly, pretty difficult as well. But I would argue usually teams that are able to make it to B2 and take both of these points usually are able to make C1 and C2 as long as they have a decent amount of lives. So I think our metric of success here for the attackers, obviously, they've got to win the map. But But the success to go into the second point, you need to just make sure that you've got over 100 lives for C1 and C2, and I think they've got a decent chance of taking the whole thing. A large responsibility, but so far so good. Here's the attack. They're trying to play around. This is that kind of quadrant, that quad I was talking about earlier. You can drive a tank over some of these walls and shoot down into it if you want to. Obviously, risk losing that vehicle playing that aggressive, but...
Ooh, okay, Alcatraz. Kind of filtering through. Now, I love what you're saying there, but the moment I think about it, when we go on to see if we get that far here for the attacking side, it's going to be difficult because a lot of the vehicles are going to make a better use when it comes to those sector objectives. But back towards B2, filtering in, you can see the vehicle you were talking about kind of nestling into the slums itself, and Zerf is going to pop on out, find some cover, into the vehicle we go. Once you have all of that pressure, it's like, hey, preserve the vehicle's health, try to keep it alive for the time being, but Serial Killer no longer in a vehicle, wants to get Mixie inside the house and looks for one but misses, hits the flip. But I'm telling you, some of those close range combats, if you're not kind of pre-firing through the doors, there's a good chance you're not going to make it out.
The attack is crushing it right now. They're getting B1. They're about to get B2. I mean, look at, you can see with the x-ray how many red bodies are on that point.
One on B1.
Opening fire!
Really well executed from the attack right now, and the momentum is absolutely on their side. I think our defense is starting to sweat because they're gonna have to give up this point most likely and force it to C. The problem is, again, metric of success, we need over 100 lives going into C1 and C2, and they're easily gonna have over 100. It can be a tall task for the defense. What we thought was gonna be maybe a defensive victory early, all of a sudden turns into absolutely dominating for the team that lost priority selection. They lost the tiebreaker, almost lost the tournament in game 2. And all of a sudden, they've got momentum. Defense is absolutely scrambling.
Hey, look, I'd be scrambling too, especially when you think about what that looked like for Team Bravo on game number 1. Or Trainwreck. Their defense was absolutely stellar, but like you said, Team Alpha looking completely different. It's like they woken, right? They just knew that they had to lock it in, and they have done everything out. Hey, maybe that litmus test was game number 1, and they were like, I feel confident now. I don't even care. Give us all the reinforcements. Give us all the pressure. 146 tickets, right? They're only missing about 34 now as we move on to the sector objectives for C.
Now here we go. C1 and C2. Obviously, you have the hangar on the left-hand side, C1, that is an interesting point. Technically, you can blow it to smithereens with enough guided missiles. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough support systems for that, but it is possible. Quick look here at some of the vehicles being spawned in. This is where you're going to see more vehicles spawned, more supports called. Big moments for some of our commanders, earn a ton of value for their team with some of the issued orders they can send out. We had one on the attacking side for B2, and I think they were able to execute on that, so they should have a sizable amount of support here from the attacking side, and immediately they are swarming C1 and getting a ton of value on it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but that angle, you get ripped. Silly Kitty trying to be like, all right, it's fine. I've got my launcher in the back pocket. I want to make sure we're taking down the vehicles as they come on in, not getting shredded for ourselves, but moving on over towards this area. You were talking about it. C1, military supply stash. C2, office area. Good look at where we can see this building. This building will get broken down inevitably if that offense wants to make sure that they can completely shred it. You saw that vehicle kind of moving in towards the road, but I think this is a good focus point for their initial attack. You can see everyone kind of on that catwalk, just nestling into the smoke, trying to rip people out of the building as they filter through there. Nice thermal to kind of help through those smokes, and look, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it's the right play. Again, something that you see in Cracked all the time. If you've played pubs, you've seen it, and even at the high level, you see it. A ton of smokes. You need smokes on just about every map, but Cracked even more so than other maps. You see a lot of stingers, likely some Lunas. We need smoke grenades, and we need to be able to see through smokes. You're gonna see recon arrows probably playing a massive, getting a lot of value rather for your team, so you're able to play for these. You can see 2 Lunas on this team. Onto this point, immediately taking down almost everybody on the defensive side. C1 is nearly entirely swarmed by the attack, and this is a very well-coordinated push from the attack yet again, as they have found not only their momentum, but their stride in playing as an entire team of 20.
Okay, Zen, I see you. Love kind of the angles of keeping your eyes on those windows, and little DJ, out the door we go. Kind of working alongside the team, hanging out in the smokes. Get that information from the commander for that team, and on board we go. Turbo Supercharge. Still trying to hang on here. They've gotten a good chunk of those tickets down, mind you. They were situated closer into the 140s. They've lost about 35. However, the progress is about halfway.
Yeah, and here the tug of war has started. C1 entirely captured by the attack. They've got complete control over this point. And now it's about cutting through a couple of these numbers to open things up for the push for C2. I don't think it has to be very quick. They don't have to force this. I think that'll be a mistake. The best teams on Cracked usually take the first point and slow it down, get all together, and then make a coordinated push for C2. Usually can overwhelm the numbers. We're seeing a lot of hero plays from a couple individuals and obviously a ton of vehicle value for the attacking side this time around. They're actually winning these vehicle fights. The tank destroyer trying to stay alive. And I don't think they're going to do it. Wow, John the Bomb cut down.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was trying to navigate the vehicle through the alleyways, and Yellow Love waiting with open arms saying, hello, my beloved. Welcome back.
Yeah, they need it. Look at this. C2 being retake. Now, again, coordinated push, sure, from the attack. They are losing C1, so a great counterattack from the defense to keep their dreams alive. It's just about who wins the map. It doesn't have to be pretty. It could go down to the final moments, just like the last one. Yellow Love immediately onto C2 saying, nobody's taking this, not in my face.
Copy.
And they've got a transport vehicle and they've got an IFE on point C2, and they've completely wiped out all of the attackers on C2, completely retaking. Very well executed from Yellow Love to get into the mix and at least just give a little bit of reprieve, draw the fire of some of the infantry so that their ground troops on the defense could retake.
Well, back on here we go. I mean, look, if you're going to clear out C2, you've got to get that done. Focus on over to C1. But if I'm Valbatrow and co, I want to make sure on Team Alpha that we are getting our reinforcements back on in. And look at where Turbo Supercharge has moved in from Meet Your Memers, right? Might as well just nestle ourselves deep into C1. Say, nah, you're not getting this. Especially once you see them clear out C2, you know their next matter is going to be making this rotation over to C1. So kind of overextending on out is going to be great. You can rip people out of this road because that's going to be where they're super exposed.
A true stalemate, or it looks like one. Defense getting pretty aggressive here. This is a very risky play, but it's paying off for them for the most part. John the Bomb able to stay alive for a moment, but in a fight. Hopefully with some help of his other vehicle. Now it's a 2v1 vehicle warfare. If they're able to get this vehicle down and not lose one, it's going to be a huge boon, and they're able to do it. They lose one in the process. They trade one out. As long as they don't trade both out, no, he goes down. Both vehicles traded out for one. This could be an opening the attack needs if they can surmount a counterattack with the defense with no vehicles. Nobody having any vehicles now that we can see. That's honestly a good trade for the attack. As long as they're able to stabilize on C2, they can make a push for C1 rather. They can make a push for C2 here shortly.
Copy. Vehicle drop.
Oh, that's going to be so tough, but more vehicles coming in. It's like those reinforcements. You can see the pressure, you see the explosions, and they're denying it straight up. Here we go. Look, we're down to the wire when it comes to this, but look who also wants to get their hand on a new vehicle down on the back lines. It looks like that one's actually going to get wheels on the ground, but we're going to jump on here with Emberson, narrowly avoiding all of the pressure, kind of filtering back in through the side of things. Hey, preserve those tickets, get your homies back up.
Such a good call out from you, Tiff. That was obviously a trade in vehicles we saw on broadcast, but then vehicles being called in and the trade being also won by the defense. That's a huge boon to have the only vehicle on the map. They use it correctly, they probably win the map because of that one trade. Whoever it was that shot down the vehicles for the attack that was spawning in, kudos to you. Very well executed. A classic strategy in esports, but if you can execute it correctly, absolutely turns the tide in your favor.
To it, you can see it. Look at that. We are just hitting the main roads, but this is when we're starting to return back to form, right? Especially if we're returning to Cracked. Why not grab all of your OG operators that have been here since the dawn of time in Delta Force? You're going to feel really confident when it comes to just locking into the assault operators. It's going to be great when you need to make sure that you have to keep on barricading and forward and retake. But I like that we're going to nestle onto these corners. But as I say that, we leave ourselves just slightly exposed, and that is going to cost you everything.
Another vehicle spawning in for the attackers, and I think it looks like one of those. No, it gets taken out. There's the top of that tank gone. They are going to get the second vehicle in, so they will have at least one vehicle on the ground, and it looks like maybe another spawning, but a huge boon for the attackers to at least get one on the ground. They lose a second, though. And again, you know, as much as we tout the heroics of some of these individuals, it's some of the things that we don't see on screen that are hard to capture of those that are playing the engineers, shooting these vehicles down before they land. Those are the true heroes of this map. As we're down to 28 lives, this is a nail biter yet again on the last couple points. The last couple pushes. Here we go. Attacker's tank getting into the mix. It is going to be one tank versus two on the other side, or two vehicles on the other side. Let's see how much value they're able to get out of it. Already extremely weak. The defense immediately targeting Westa here. And I think he's going to go down. That is a brutal loss for the attack. There goes all of their power.
Yeah, well, that was Silly Kitty making a big play that was definitely needed. That's going to be from Team Reborn on Team Bravo. Now, mind you, with 23 tickets left, we need a coordinated effort. They've been able to be just an absolute lockdown on C1, but C2 has been the problem child of the sector objectives. So Foxana, Falls trying to make a push. Can Serial Killer, Valbatrow, Eggs and T, can they get close enough to make this happen for themselves?
Copy. Vehicle drop to
19 lives, no power, vehicles on the side of the defense. Again, this is a tug of war, but it's really a push and pull between two teams. Both who have had their moments in the limelight. Looks like we're seeing some value for the attackers on C2. It looks like we've got a lot more green swinging over to C1 to try to maybe play a trade, and tank holding C2. It doesn't look like this attack's going to be very fruitful from what we can see, unless there's this incredibly heroic effort here from this squad. Serial Killer going massive in the kill feed, but I just don't know how much value you're going to be able to find for the attackers. They're sneaking this. I mean, they've got bodies on point, but I don't know. I mean, they're seeing some value on C2 that we don't see. There's just a lot of green still on C1. I think it's going to be a trade.
I mean, if you're going to literally ghost ride a vehicle into C1, what do you expect? And as you turn your attention over to C2, that respawn beacon is going to be incredibly vital. And here come all of the missiles, making sure that they can push everyone out of the way. But it just delays the inevitable. Reborn, Team Bravo. I saw Silly Kitty get absolutely eviscerated. And just like that, you can see it here. Team Alpha are the champions.
Yeah, this was
Team Bravo.
Yeah, there it is.
Wait a second.
I was about to say, Team Bravo are your champions. It was that close, though. That's what it felt like in the final moments, right? We're right there at the end. It looks like Team Alpha might win. They've got red on both points, but they don't fully capture that. And because of that, the defense is able to win. It is Team Bravo, your champions, your Delta Force Global League Season 2 Europe Warfare champions, just barely eking out in the final moments. It goes to game 3. It goes to the final points on game 3. Such a fun way to end this competition. It quite literally could not be any closer across the board. We saw some monster moments from both teams, but Team Bravo, they win just in the nick of time.
Yeah, look, hey, that's pretty impressive. I'm going to give Team Alpha an A for effort for their insane hold on C1. It's probably why they were trying to sneak their way onto the champions graphic, but to each their own. I love that effort out of them. Team Bravo, when it came to game 3, they immediately knew what they needed to do to settle the score here on that tiebreaker type of round to get the best of 3. They go, no, defense. We're completely comfortable on that. And honestly, it makes sense, especially when you get to Sector C, those two objectives broken down with the vehicle gameplay. And if you've got John DeBomb, Yellow Love on your roster in some way, shape, or form, you know that he's gonna say, just give me my engineers, give me my vehicle, and let me do work.
Yeah, and I think what you called out is so fun to talk about, right? This game mode, this format is really interesting. It's a single best of 3. It moved quick, folks. We've only been live for a little under 2 hours, and we've just about wrapped up this broadcast. We've got some scores and some prizes we still have to hand out, so you're not going to want to miss that. And I think the fun conversation comes down to the correct pick. I think this is the right pick, obviously. It was extremely close, but this is the nuance of that game 3 position. Let's take a look at that map and see how close it truly was, because some fun moments. I mean, again, this is where I thought the attackers were going to win. This is where I thought Team Alpha was going to actually persist on our champions graphic, because they dominated at the beginning of this map and really had all the momentum until we got to point C here, Tiff.
Oh, 100%. Just immediately you see the A kind of fall. It went really quick. Then you move on to the sector objectives for B. And quite frankly, there was more resistance here, but the way that they were able to just completely power through the vehicle utilization, through just kind of some of these sneaky plays like you see here, you don't fall at that. You keep wrapping around, and then you do have kind of the utility coming in from your teammates to allow even more pressure. Then you have this rotation with those smokes, thankfully, across the road to focus onto B2. Now, yeah. It's been tight, but it was well done.
Yeah, it was really well executed from the attack. And I think you said something there so pertinent and so important. The attackers won these first 2 points. They didn't get handed them. The defense didn't really make a huge mistake. I mean, we could review the VOD and maybe find some small mistakes, but it was the attackers just winning their fights. We won our vehicle battles. We won everything. And so the tug of war came down to C1 and C2. And it actually looked like the attackers were going to win that too. Remember, they won their vehicle battles. They won their trades. This is the moment I'm talking about. A 2-for-1 vehicle trade is huge, but it came down to Yellow Love picking up the IFV, getting onto C2, saving it, and then the defense maintaining that vehicle advantage. Whoever you were out there that was shooting down the vehicles on spawn, you won that game for your team. It was so well executed to make sure the attack never had any more momentum in these final moments, and it maintained a stalemate on C1 and C2. And then obviously a big heroic effort to get onto the point in the final seconds to make sure we didn't see an accidental recap after all of that work. Yellow Love gets onto the point, saves the day. And although both points were red, they were not fully captured, and therefore the defense wins. Again, couldn't get any closer, but a nice win from the defense, able to rally back in the final moments.
Yeah, I mean, look, that last replay, Yellow Love, is that a player that was going to be full sending the vehicle straight onto the point? It is moments like that that are the reasons why you see the team that wins, because it's like, look, we've got half a second and we know what we need to do. It doesn't have to be pretty. We just have to get in there and just stall out for time. And it's crazy how close it came through in Europe Warfare Ghost. Like, that is just wild. We're tricking graphics at this point.
Yeah,
like, come on.
We're tricking the viewers, because here's the thing. I think the fun part is that you got to remember, we tricked the viewers. You tricked me too. I thought this was going to be a steamroll. We got to remember where we started. We're letting these scores get calculated. We're going to talk about our individual winners. Obviously, we know Team Bravo, you've won $10,000. Like about $500 a piece. Very well done. Can we talk about the beginning of this broadcast? Game one, it was not close at all. We're on train wreck, and the attackers can't even breach through point A. The defense wins on the very first point, and I go, oh no, this is going to be utter decimation, especially because when we go to game two, we swap sides, and Team Bravo on the attack gets all the way to the last point and almost wins on that map. And so I was like, okay, we're barely going to game three. We almost won the whole tournament in two. But then when we got to game three, it was a big rally back. So let's take a look back in that rally back map. Let's take a look back at game three and see some of those individual skill point orders here. I mean, this is huge breakdown across the board for revives, slaying out. These are really important individual stats for some of our players. Obviously, again, huge. Tip my hat to Krazer, Heisen. Both played fantastic. Heisen, I believe, the commander throughout all three games. You're going to see him near the top on score. But 43 revives on the side of Krazer there at the top of the leaderboard. Well, on the other side, M8 Skyart, 51 revives, looking for that top medic as well. So great stat values. Any other notes you've got on this leaderboard here, Tiff?
It's kind of wild, right? Polska Guram, sure, you're on the losing team. They're on Team Alpha, but you performed exceptionally today. And you just got to give your flowers to that team to kind of really, alongside Grom, Toxic, all of them had their moments when it came to making these plays that looked like it was going to skew for Team Alpha's benefit to net themselves a win. But you kind of called it out. Sure, we're looking for our top Slayer. Sure, we're looking for our top medic to reward them. But at the end of the day, those people that are playing engineer roles to keep the vehicles alive, to lead to the team's success, are some of the most valuable players that you will ever see when it comes to warfare that net themselves wins in the Delta Force Global League. And I tip my hat to all the engineer players. I could not be that person, but you are the ones that are the backbones to your wins.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Engineers are the unsung heroes of the leaderboards. But yeah, here's a quick look at the overall score line. Obviously, pretty close across the board, again, because of the big rally back from Team Team Alpha in that last map, who put up such a great fight. But Team Bravo wins it all. They win 2 out of the 3 maps. We go to game 3. They have more scores. They have more kills as an overall team and just overall win it all. Even though it was a close one, Team Bravo are the superior team and have done it working together as a coordinated effort. Let's take a look at our pricing, though, and see who wins all of our individual rewards. Because, yes, Team Bravo wins $10,000. John the Bomb, 101 kills across the board. Gonna be top slayer on the day. Very well done. It's Krazer, your top medic, and I think it was extremely close. I'd love to get a read on who else was there, because I think very, very close in the top medic category. John the Bomb, I think, our top slayer, but a decent margin, especially with that 70 kill game, I believe John the Bomb had. But Krazer does just barely eke out top medic with 125 rescues. Krazer really did a great job of making sure to prioritize that medic position, and obviously has a ton of value in that position for the team, keeping lives. And I am looking at it, by the way. It was John the Bomb at 101. Q-Pitch was second at 90, and Inmate Skyart was third in the top slayer category at 87. And then on top medic side, Krazer 125, Inmate Skyart second in that category at 101, with a couple other folks close. Zerf there, technically third at 72. So overall, great team effort, but also some individual rewards. So congratulations, Team Bravo. You've all won $500, but John the Bomb, an extra 500, and Krazer, an extra 500. So huge congrats to all of our winners today.
I mean, that's some big wins right there. And I kind of love to see, like, you've got some members of Toxic Squad up in there. You've got some Polska Guram in the mix when it comes to trying to make a play for top medic or top slayer. But overall, that was an absolute dynamic day. So if you saw some players and you were like, hey, they were pretty sick, a lot of them do stream and will create Delta Force content. They'll constantly be posting the codes for their weapons and kind of show you how that works. The entire community is extremely collaborative in that effort to kind of really work towards the competitive side of things. And I've been having an absolute blast kind of lurking in their streams and snagging codes for myself, Doge, but I just wanted to give that shout out to the chat, because if you are looking for a better loadout for your weapons, go get it. Go get it. Yeah,
that's exactly right. A lot of content creators out there. Tiff, what a great day in the office. A very fun EU Warfare Finals here in the Delta Force Global League for Season 2. Any final words for the broadcast? We're done for not the day, but for this tournament. I think we'll be seeing you a little bit later.
Yeah, look, hey, if we're kicking things off on the European side of things, this was the best way to start Season 2 Europe Warfare for the Delta Force Global League, and I can't wait to see what is next. It's been an absolute blast, and honestly, Team Defense, apparently. Team Defense, just barely, but Team Defense on top. Big shout out to Tiff. Thanks for joining me, Tiff, and I'll see you later in the day. Folks at home, what a great day in the office. Very fun European Warfare Final. We are not done, though, for the day. We're done for now, but not done for the day. I want to remind you, this is just the beginning of the Delta Force Global League Finals. Of course, this is European Warfare Finals. We just wrapped up, but we've got North America Finals here later today. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's going to be at 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. Is going to be the North American Warfare Finals. You're not going to want to miss it. Very fun, heavy-hitting action here in Warfare. Same rules, everything the same, but potentially a different map. Depends on what we roll. Before I let you go, though, I want to remind you, if you haven't downloaded Delta Force, I don't know what you're doing. It's a fantastic game. We've got Warfare, we've got Operations, and those Operation shows for Delta Force Global League are going to be tomorrow, by the way. But make sure you go download Delta Force. You can get it on just about every single platform you can think of. And the one that you want it to be on console as well, that's coming up down the line August 19th. So you're about to be able to have it on every platform you can think of. Mobile, obviously on Steam, you can get it on the PC launcher. All that info is down below. But also, make sure you drop a follow wherever you're watching us. We've been live all over the place today, 5 different platforms, I believe, and there's a lot more out there. Delta Force has got a ton of info out there on Reddit, fandom, and also the Discord has some fantastic mods. I see you in the chats, but also a great community where you can ask questions, learn more, listen to dev, live streams, Q&As, all types of stuff. Go learn more about Delta Force and what's coming up down the line with new content as well by joining that Discord. But that's all I've got for you today, folks, or at least for now. North America, just a couple hours away. 7 p.m. Central Time is going to be the start of that competition. So maybe hop in a little bit early and chat with me. But for now, I've got to remind you one more time that we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next Delta Force broadcast in a couple hours.
the objective. Fight back.
Opening fire!
Guided missiles lost.